Hello and welcome to this episode of the Real Agents of Change interview series. We love to interview and have conversations with and acknowledge and support any and all agents of change in the world, whether it's real estate, nonprofit leaders, et cetera, and there has never been a better agent of change than Miss Miranda, who was introduced to us through one of our agents of change, Simone. And just want to hear a lot more about her Empowerment Institute. I'm going to let her give you the full name because it's a tongue twister. And we're going to actually do this interview a little differently. She's going to ask me any and all questions that a really sophisticated nonprofit wants to know to be able to start getting non-cash assets, and in our case, real estate. Miranda, please share with our audience any names that I might have messed up. Let's get into it.
Yeah, hi Kimmy. So glad to be here with you and this amazing project. We had a short session before, so I know a little about it, enough to know how amazing it is. Yes, my name's Miranda Clendening. I am Director of Operations for Empowerment Institute Center for Reinventing the Planet. We have 5 initiatives underneath what we do. One is a big climate change initiative where we're creating carbon neutral cities. It's been going for 10 years. We're creating a Peace on Earth by 2030 game, which ends up teaching people how to play as teams in a gamified way of creating change and regenerative whole systems transformation at a what we call a Peace on Earth zone or a PO zone level. And that project is going really amazing too. We also do empowerment with women in the developing world in 13 different countries and attempting to help with development and helping with poverty there and just helping women that are in a pretty bad situation, but with empowerment and agency to change their life. We also have Jedi schools of second order change, which is a whole different form of change at a whole systems level instead of just 1.0 solutions. And then we have a Reinventing the Planet fund, kind of reinventing how philanthropy is done and how businesses and people put money towards impact and change. And this is kind of part of what we want to weave into that piece of what we do, because this is such an amazing piece that we've never even focused on, with people being able to donate properties. I also am one of the directors of Unify, which does global synchronized meditations, and we've done meditations that have had as many as 100 million people in them before. So,
wow. I know I could feel a shift every now and then.
Yeah.
There are so many questions that I would love to ask you about all of that, including the empowering women around the globe. And I would love to know if you get into the micro loans and just all those things. I really want you and I to spend a little bit more time together. And when I come out to Crestone in my RV and I'm hula hooping on the roof of it, I want you to grab a hula hoop and join in, and we'll have those conversations.
Yeah.
Right now, let's really educate and inform all the nonprofits out there, including your board and people that we'll share this with, as to how this whole thing works. What are the questions that you have about how you can start bringing in non-cash assets, in our case, specifically real estate?
Yeah, I think it would just help just do a little brief overview of what you guys do as far as facilitating if our donors would want to donate a piece of property instead of just money, and tell about your incredible role with how you facilitate that process and make it easy.
Sure. So let's say, for example, your fundraisers are speaking with a current donor, because as Dr. Russell James has done research on, you can bring in 6 times your current donations without adding a donor and without adding any extra traditional fundraising with the donors you currently have. So they're having a conversation and they let them know, hey, by the way, we can now benefit from charitable gifts of real estate. Just want to let you know, in case you have any property or anyone else does, it's a great part of the estate planning process, right? Very simple. When the person has any questions at all, you let them know, thank you for your generous question and gift, potential gift. Let us put you in contact with our real estate team. Number one, this relieves you of any cumbersome learning of technical stuff that I don't even understand. My team does, our team does. And it also really elevates you and your value in the marketplace, letting them know you, of all the 1.3 million nonprofits out there, you're one of those few that actually have a real estate team that can help these folks. So Bob has a piece of property, he wants to donate it. What we do is, number one, we look at what is his intention. Is he donating the whole property because he just loves your mission? End of story. Is he donating part of the property because he loves you, but even though it's valued at $2 million, he'd like to get 500 cash back to put little Billy in college and take the wife on a trip, right? Does he love you, but he also loves 10 other nonprofits, and he wants that $2 million piece of property to go to all of them, like split it up. In other words, there's a lot of pieces there, but ultimately you introduce them to us. We do a net sheet showing, well, if you sell the property, here's what it looks like. If you donate it with all the different variables of your tax implications, et cetera, here's what that looks like. When he decides, yep, I want to leave legacy, this is way better than taking cash out of my pocket, I'd love to do it. Then what happens is our 501c3, realtygiftfund.org, is your partner, is your collaborating 501c3. They actually take title to the property. They can pay off mortgages, as much as $10 million worth of mortgages instantly. Within a 30-day period of meeting Bob, this property is off of his books, out of his hair, mortgages are paid off, cash is given to him, etc. Realty Gift Fund has title to it, and what we do is immediately list the property with a real estate agent, because no one, you or anyone else, wants to hold, manage, take care of, maintain a piece of real estate. Now, rare instances, sure, there's that property downtown Crestone that the nonprofits like to have be donated so that they can use it as a community center. That does happen, but it's so rare. 99% of these properties are donated with the intention of liquidating. Get rid of the property, get the cash. So we list it with a real estate agent at a full commission, and that's important for our real estate friends to know and our nonprofit friends to know, because there are realtors that you know that would love to not just give you $100 at their closing as a donation, but to give you these checks of hundreds of thousands of dollars from the proceeds, and they get paid too to do it. So Realty Gift Fund takes title, we list it immediately with a real estate agent at a full commission. When the property is sold, we give the proceeds to you and any of the other nonprofits. Now, Realty Gift Fund is a nonprofit, they're a 501c3, but just like you, they got to keep their doors open, they got to pay their expenses. So here's one of the beauties of working with Realty Gift Fund, is that they only have an arrangement with the donor to keep 3 to 10% of the proceeds. In other words, if it's a $1 million donation, they negotiate with the donor as to what it would look like for them to keep 3 to 10% for their own operations, and they give you and everybody else the rest. I have talked to groups who keep 30% and more. So that's a really big point that I want to point out. And if you're going to something like, Cars for Kids, groups like that, wonderful groups, you'll get the tax deduction for your car, but some of those groups want to keep the proceeds for their own nonprofit. So in this case, we partner with any and all of the 1.3 million nonprofits.
Amazing. We do know what this is like. I helped set up a big nonprofit healthcare system that dealt with a hospice in Arizona. And we would have people that we didn't even know when we were taking care of them, after they passed away, they would leave us their property. And we were, we're like, we don't even know what to do with that. We're not that type of nonprofit. We don't, I think that we sat on those properties for years just because we didn't even have the manpower or the expertise to know what to do with that. So I know how helpful this is.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, because when we talk about this and people say, well, if it's so great, why have I never heard of it? It's been around for 100 years. Why are we not doing it? It's because of stories just like that. Because, nonprofits either A, take the property and don't know what to do with it. Now they're paying taxes on it. They're paying upkeep on it. They're managing it or whatever, taking them completely out of their mission. We call it mission drift. They're drifting off their mission because of this real estate. Or they flat out don't take the donation because of stories like that. Well, what are we going to do with it? And even if the board of that nonprofit has the most experienced broker with 30 years experience on their platform, the fact is some of these properties require mortgages to be paid off, or maybe it needs a $20,000 roof that you just can't come out of pocket for. So you just say, well, you know what? No, thank you. We'll pass. But this way, what we're saying is us remove all the risk, because the nonprofit doesn't even need to know the address of the property. They just need to say thank you for the check.
Yeah, that's awesome. You make it so simple, it is, breaking down the barrier that most nonprofits probably have for even wanting to ask for this, because they don't know what to do with it. You mentioned a little bit about, I know this is possibly going to come up with nonprofits that are looking for spaces. And I just wanted to clarify that, we have a situation right now where someone is trying to figure out how to give us this big building in town that kind of needs a lot of work. But we're needing to build a community center here locally for a lot of the things that we're doing. This is a more rare situation from what I understand, but you do help facilitate that as well. If the nonprofit is wanting to keep and needing a property or a building to use for their own use, you do help with that some too, right?
Yes. So another benefit of Realty Gift Fund versus some, and when I was doing my own research, I heard about this 14 months ago. I'm sitting at a conference, and one of the speakers mentions charitable gifting, and I was like, huh? Because I've been in real estate 15, 18 years. I did HGTV House Hunters. I was in the top 5% realtors. And then I was helping nonprofits and for-profits partner and do fundraisers. As a matter of fact, 3 months after learning about this is when the pandemic hit in my story. And I was a public speaker helping people facilitate fundraisers, partnering for-profit with nonprofit. So clearly I was unemployed because fundraisers and everything else was canceled. So when I learned about it, I went on the hunt because I learned just enough to know I needed this third party, this 501c3 that could help facilitate. And in my research, I found 5, but all very, very different, including one that would take 30% no matter what. And if it's a $10 million property and they're taking 30% of that, that's a big chunk of change. So, there's just different nuances. So to answer your question, one of the reasons I love Realty Gift Fund is because they are completely philanthropic. They all have 30 years and more experience in commercial real estate, but they've all also sat on boards. And they created this 501c3 just to serve this gap. So where some of the others that I talked to wouldn't help you with that, because if they're not getting 30% of $1 million, they're not going to bother. But with Realty Gift Fund, they are so educated in what they do. They love talking about it so much, they'll get on the phone with you. They'll help you walk through it. Each situation is so different. I couldn't even begin to speak intelligently about it. But what I can tell you is this is not the first time this has come up. And every time it comes up, Bruce Geis at Realty Gift Fund said, sure, let's get on the phone. Let me help you walk through that. Let's see what we can do to help. So that was the long answer to, yeah, we can help you with that.
Yeah. So because you've said they so many times, can you explain what Real Agents of Change is and your role and who Bruce is and the Realty Gift Fund and all of this?
I love this spin on how this interview is flowing. So, yes. So I learned about charitable gifting of real estate. Been around for 100 years. but not many people know about it because the average nonprofit just simply can't take real estate. It's not that they can't, it's not that they won't, it's that it's not that they legally they can, but financially, emotionally, physically, business-wise, they just can't. So there are these handful of 501c3s that have been created. So Cammie Baker goes on the hunt to find a partner. Charitable gifting of real estate. There's 2 million realtors. There's 1.3 million nonprofits. 99.9% of them have no idea about this. How can I get this out to the world? I got to find a 501c3 that I like, that likes me, that I can partner with, etc. So Realty Gift Fund, Bruce Geis, Jay Grab, Chase Magnuson put together this 501c3 a few years ago. So when I found them and we started talking about this, I said, look guys, I don't want to bring you 1 deal or 10 deals or 100 deals. I'm from real estate too. I know what the realtors want, what they need. And so let's certify just 1% of them. Just 1% is 20,000. If we just had 500 realtors who understood how this worked, we could bring in billions of dollars for the nonprofit. So the real agents of change kind of happened organically. Cammie's talking to Realty Gift Fund. We're spending time over the summer of the pandemic getting to know each other. They're teaching me about charitable real estate. I'm talking to them about getting realtors certified. We're kind of finding our groove. And I created a group on Facebook and I thought, what name should I give it? We're change agents. We're agents of change. I like what that means. That means someone who comes into an organization and changes that which is broken or could use a little upgrade or fixing, right? So I thought agents of change, but there were so many groups called agents of change. I said, well, we're the real agents of change. And before you know it, it organically became what it is now. So Realty Gift Fund is our partner in educating and teaching nonprofits, real estate agents, financial service providers, anyone who is visionary and wants to learn how this works. They've helped us to create the certification class. So the certification class is what I've partnered with Realty Gift Fund on. When people have taken the class, now they know what charitable real estate is, they get the gist of it, they know how to do a transaction. If they want to leverage it in their business development, if they want to learn who to talk to, what to say, how to say it, how to make phone calls, how does the nonprofit get in front of their donors with this information? How does the real estate agent get out and position and partner and promote this? The real agents of change continue taking the ball from there. Realty Gift Fund is only part of teaching us what is charitable real estate, and they are the ones that do all the boring number stuff. Like when your donor donates that property, they are the ones that take care of all. Your nonprofit doesn't need to know about any of that stuff. They, Realty Gift Fund, understand the tax forms that are needed with the IRS, etc. They are the ones that actually hire the realtor, and in essence, they are the ones who are the realtor's seller. They are the client for the realtor, which is super important for the realtor because now there's no emotional seller with 4 children all fighting over their piece of the pie and all that stuff. Nope, they're done. They're out of it. Realty Gift Fund is professional. They're seasoned. They're savvy. They are the seller with the agent. So thank you for asking for that clarification.
Yeah, thank you for everything you do. We have only about 5 minutes left, and I want to make sure that you are able to get us the info we need to move forward and let people know about websites or the class info or anything else that you want to share so that we can find you in the future and get signed up, and just anything about how we do this process as leaders of nonprofits and get in connection with you so that we can put out to our networks. Like I personally want to make sure we put out to all of our donor networks that we're usually asking for, monthly donations and all kinds of donations in different ways, but we've never asked for this. So we're going to be looking to ask if there are property donations, if people have never even thought about that or what, and just see what happens. So can you just let us know that process and how we find you and connect with you more?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for asking. So, like I said before, as Dr. James has studied, this isn't about looking for different donors or about doing some big campaign that takes 3 to 6 months. It's about simply implementing it in the ask. So when you're sending out emails, when you're doing your Facebook or websites, when your people are on the phone or at events or what have you, it's simply about adding it to the conversation. Oh, by the way, we can benefit from charitable gifts of real estate. A lot of this is going to be education and information in the beginning. Now, historically, out of every 100 people, there's a handful right there. There's at least 5 in that 100 who would donate property, who have property they would donate, who are in a place in their life, like you said about the people at the hospice and in retirement centers and things, who actually would donate property because they don't have any heirs and they do want to do a good deed and leave a legacy. So it's about simply starting to inform people. And then once again, back to not trying to be the one who explains anything and everything to them. The minute you say, hey, by the way, thank you for your generous $500 donation every month, you're making dreams come true. We do accept, or we are partnered with nonprofits who accept charitable gifting of real estate. If that's of interest to you, let me know. When that person says, I'd love to learn more, when we simply say, thank you for asking, let me put you in touch with our team, it raises your value in the marketplace so that you're not trying to explain it, you're bringing in a team. So there's all of that part of it. The way that it works is we have a certification class. And then, as I said, we have it's a mastery membership. So Charitable Real Estate Specialist is the certification for realtors, not nonprofits. Nonprofits don't need to get certified with us yet. Nonprofits have tons of other certifications to get. But when they sit in on the certification class, you will every time we do the class, everyone's mind is just blown at how this can work. Because just like anything else, when people get a little more comfortable with the information, they tend to be able to talk about it more. So nonprofits can sit in on the class as well. They can even be part of the membership as well. So class, membership, reach out to CamiBaker.com, reach out to RealtyGiftFund.org. We don't have the certification class on their website yet, but we will have it on there soon. I do a lot on Facebook. We're doing stuff on LinkedIn. So if you just simply Google Cami Baker or Realty Gift Fund, you'll be able to find us and learn when is the next class, what is the investment, et cetera, et cetera. Class is less than $200. And if it can teach a nonprofit how to bring in not double profitability, but 6 times profitability, it's $200 well worth spent.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you. I think that's everything else to cover for what all of our other friends in the nonprofit world would want to know about what you do. And once again, thank you for everything that you're doing. And I hope that we can have success with it with you and our nonprofits, and that others can too, because it would be really helpful and amazing. So thank you.
Well, thank you. The average donation from real estate is $550,000 from one donor. One donor that's already in your donor sphere of influence. So it's all about informing and educating. It's been my honor to have you, and to know that there will literally be millions of people who see this interview just to learn, just to be in the know, just to be a part of the awakening. There's so much Googling and researching and things that any of them can do. We have all of it, especially with our friendship with Dr. Russell James and all of the other experts like Chase Magnuson. So thank you for being on, and I can't wait to hear more about what you're doing. I mean, we could do another whole show just on your programs, and let's think about doing that in another month or so when you've got another 30 minutes.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. Bye, everybody.